Welcome to Basic Brewing Video. I'm James Spencer, sitting in the front yard of Mr. Chris Colby from Brew Your Own magazine.
Cheers, James.
Cheers, Chris. We're in Bastrop, Texas.
Scenic Bastrop, Texas.
Not too far from Austin. I forgot to drink after I toasted there.
There you go.
A little party foul there. This is a pale ale from your homegrown hops.
Yep.
Is it not?
Yes.
Tell us about this beer.
It's just a partial mash beer. I'm trying to think, the grain bill was like a little bit of crystal 30 or 40, I can't remember. Some pale malt, and then just light malt extract for the extract. And I used, for the bittering hops, I used Homegrown Northern Brewer, Homegrown Centennial, and Homegrown Chinook to about 35 to 40 IBUs, somewhere in there. And then Homegrown Cascade as the finishing hops. I used the French press method to add it. I kegged the beer, let it partially carbonate. It's only kegged a couple days ago. It's still not quite there. But yesterday added some hops with the French press method. Just put the whole hops in the French press, poured some hot wort on them, very low specific gravity on the wort, and just pressed out the liquid and poured it in the keg.
Very good. We want to talk about your homegrown hops, but we
Sure.
also want to talk about this stuff that's in the foreground of the shot here. Your barley field here in your side yard puts mine to shame. We've seen mine on the show, but yours is really looking good. And I planted mine in the early spring last year, and it kind of didn't do so well. You took a different approach.
Yeah, well, I did the same thing that you did 2 years ago. I planted it in the spring, and it grew up. And given the barley's heat sensitive, and given that we're not lacking for heat here in Texas, that led to the early demise of that. So this year I planted this barley in sort of mid to late November, and it grew up over the winter. And right now it's late March 20th ish, and it's pretty close to being finished right now. The tassels are out. The kernels they're no longer full of liquid. They're full of sort of a soft, gooey material, and that'll turn hard. The plants will die off. They'll turn amber, and then it'll be time to figure out what to do with it.
It's just beautiful. Do you have any idea of what kind of yield that you're going to get from this?
I wish I did. I have absolutely no idea. I'm tentatively guessing I'm going to get about 10 pounds of grain, but I could be way off.
So there's a few batches of beer in this, maybe a couple batches of beer.
I would like to get enough to make a 5-gallon batch of beer. If I got that, I'd be happy, or even a 3-gallon batch. And next year I can adjust my planning up or down to account for that.
Well, I think the overwintering seems to have worked, at least at this climate, seems to have worked really well. And I wish that I had done it now.
I think it's the way to go for people growing this in the South, because certainly the barley just can't stand hotter temperatures. And this winter was exceptionally mild for us. I mean, it was, we were in the 60s and 70s, most of it. So this just sort of grew up under, nice, not too hot, not too cool conditions. And we had a couple cool weeks, a couple freezes, maybe but it's a grass, it's not going to hurt that.
Now, along with the barley, you've got your container hops, and we've talked about those on the show before. How many varieties have you got going in containers?
Right now I've got Chinook, Centennial, Cascade, Northern Brewer, Sterling, and I think that's it. And that makes however many varieties that just was. I wasn't counting.
And they're perfectly happy in the pots there on the driveway.
Oh, they seem to be doing very well this year.
And we had you demonstrate your portable hop planter trellis, which is a great idea. Tell us about how that works.
Yeah, the idea was I'm growing these hops in containers on my driveway, and hops can grow up to 30 feet tall, and having a 30-foot trellis extending out of a container in your driveway might not be the option that most people would find most most suitable to their condition. And so I hit up on the idea of just making an adjustable trellis, and it's just a wooden stake or whatever. And there's a hook and eye at the top, and the wire that the hops are trellised on runs through that. And you just it's an 8-foot stake. About you let the hops grow up. When they get to the top of it, you just adjust the trellis a little bit. You just feed out a little line and let them adjust the hops downward, and they're always going to be about a foot below reaching the top, and so they're always growing upwards, which they like and they respond to well. And you gradually just keep adjusting it, and over the season you'll pretty soon have a fairly substantial coil of hop twine and the associated plant on the ground. But they really don't seem to mind that. I was worried about fungus for one thing. If it got wet in there and they were all sitting there. Last year was the first year I tried this, and it was a very dry summer and whole season, so there was really no problems with that. I was also worried about insects, just all that plant material laying on top of each other, but didn't have any problem with that. I mean, we're outside of the normal hop growing belt here, so specific hop pests, which are in the hop, in the Northwest and stuff. The pests they have are specific to hop plants, and they don't, at least as far as I know, they don't get a lot of just generalized pests on them.
They haven't found you yet.
Yeah. So generally pest free, fungus free, and they seem to really like, as long as they stayed watered, they seem to really grow well. Wow. in the container.
Well, that's amazing. It's wonderful to come down here and spend some time with you, and you and your wife Jennifer fixed my buddy Kelly and I an awesome lunch out on the grill, and you proved that you're every bit as good a griller as you are a brewer, so we appreciate that. And we're going to look forward to hearing updates of your progress on the barley field. I think it looks great, and I can't wait to hear the next step.
Yeah, I try to update my blog fairly recently. It's at byo.com. I try to keep updated on that, and I've got still, once this is finished, I still have to figure out what to do with it. I don't really know how I'm going to separate the kernels from the tassels exactly yet and get that all. I'm going to have to grade out, because if you look, there's all different size kernels, and I'm going to have to figure out how to malt it. And then from there on, it's pretty easy. Just given as home malting, it'll be a decoction mash. And but I've got some interesting things coming up, and how do I process this, for the first time that I've ever tried it.
We'll be following along.
Okay, great.
Thanks again for the hospitality.
No problem.
Cheers, Chris.
Cheers.
Come and visit us on the web. At basicbrewing.com, you can find archive lists of both our audio and video podcasts on home brewing. You can also find our DVDs, Introduction to Extract Home Brewing, Stepping into All Grain, Low-Tech Lagering and Decoction Mashing, and our latest edition, Introduction to Wine Kits. And for a limited time, you can find our 2009 Brewer's Logbook, where you can schedule and track the details of up to 50 batches of beer. Drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. Write to james@basicbrewing.com, steve@basicbrewing.com, or just use the contact form on basicbrewing.com.
Yay!